Good morning, my dear friends and family. Good morning, good morning. So, I literally I didn't plan this stream today this morning, but I checked out several updates and I decided that no, we should do that. First of all other Ukrainian and pro-Ukrainian YouTubers are effectively sleeping. I think so. And because when you don't speak, somebody speaks instead of you, I just decided to confirm this rule. So, good morning to Paul and X-Talis and Braith and K. Bell, Betsy. Good morning to the beautiful Netherlands, Sandy and Billy. It wasn't me, Guten Morgen, the Aussie, Oimite and Fosti and Sarah and Hans and everyone else. Bridget, Toby, Nian, Jellyfish, Chester, Hunter, and Ellie. Ellie, are you there? Are you sleeping already? I hope you do, because Ellie was staying up, and I told her to go to sleep. But she said, I will bravely help you with the stream, but just don't stream like 5 hours straight. All right. Luckily, I'm not Rick the Ukrainian. I cannot do that. So, Martin, hello, and Steve and Vintage Mom. So good to see you, my friends. Let's check out several updates, and I would like to one more time point at this one. According to Reuters, Ellie is there. Ellie is in the chat. I won't be streaming long, I promise. So, according to Reuters, United States may introduce additional sanctions against the terrorist federation in order to stop the war in Ukraine. But before it happens, they want Europe to increase the pressure. All right. Dolores, good morning and much love to beautiful Canada, beautiful Ontario. Betsy, I know that my voice is still sleepy. It sounds so sexy when I'm sleepy. I can literally throw ASMR sessions. In the morning. Returning to the American sanctions, the administration of President Donald Trump is preparing additional sanctions, according to Reuters, that might be placed on key Russian industries if Putin keeps delaying the peace talks, all right? And also, American authorities reported that European colleagues must be sure that United States support the usage of the frozen Russian assets, and those frozen Russian assets may be literally directed to the United States in exchange for weaponry, so Ukraine could defend itself. And also, at this point, the Senate of the United States is working in this direction. Some of the authorities in the United States are trying to restore their attempts to pass the law that was recently blocked, the bill regarding the sanctions, right? So we will see how this develops, but the reason Kirill Dmitriev right now is there in the United States is literally because he wants to convince Witkoff to convince Trump to stop that, all right? And another indicator that this is exactly the reason why he's there is because we can see Russians talking more and more about that in the media, and we are talking about the top Russian propagandists like Skabeeva, for example. We will talk about this a bit later. All this is connected because we can see that whatever the top Russian propagandists are talking about in the Russian media, that's literally a reflection of Kremlin's policy, right? A reflection of Kremlin's agenda. Basically, Kremlin is saying through his top propagandists what he wants people to understand and what he wants the Russian human material to think, all right? And we will talk about Skabeyeva in just a while. Before it happens, let's check other updates. This, by the way, this is beautiful Iran, just so you could understand. How do you like that? That's literally in Tehran, all right? I think that's fantastic. If you hear rock music in Iran, it means that things will be changing, all right? And I see a lot of people literally ignoring hijabs there, and they don't care. So that's just, it's not related to Ukraine, but I just wanted to show you because we have hope. We have hope that things will be fine there as well. All right, yesterday we had a disturbing message, actually. A disturbing warning from Ukrainian monitoring channels that there will be a strike on Ukraine. Russians prepared their strategic aviation, their missiles, and their drones, and we had multiple warnings that possibly strike might happen, and unfortunately it was true, it did happen. But before we talk about that, let's check out this footage coming from Sukhatska village in the Donetsk region, where Ukrainian soldiers have liberated this village from the Russian occupiers. Well, again, you can see plenty of ruins around because that's exactly how a Russian world looks like, right? So according to the Ukrainian General Staff, during this attack, that looks like a Russian occupant, all right, and that's his buddies. They decided to take a rest before taking Kyiv, right? But according to the General Staff of Ukraine, Ukrainian forces had a battle against approximately 60 Russian occupiers. That is basically two platoons. Maybe something like not full company, all right? And they liberated the village from them. We can see that happy Russian soldiers that were taken as prisoners will basically return home safely eventually, all right? They will be exchanged for Ukrainian soldiers and everything will be fine. Of course, I have a message to the Russian mothers watching this video. I doubt they speak English, but if they do, your sons will not be decapitated, castrated, or executed like Russians do to Ukrainian prisoners of war. Ukrainians are not animals like you, and we are not treating Russian prisoners like that, all right? They will be fed, they will not be starved in the Ukrainian prison like Russians do. And also they will have access by the International Red Cross and other human rights protecting organizations, unlike in Russian prisons, all right? So you must be fucking happy. So returning to the updates, we can see Kirill Dmitriev, who, by the way, during his visit to the United States, talked about the key demands of Kremlin regarding Ukraine. Let's hear it.
Okay, so what is the solution?
From him.
Is it a guarantee that Ukraine doesn't ever seek or get NATO membership? Is it drawing the battle lines where there are now? What is it that Russia actually wants that would bring something closer to a ceasefire and to ending this?
Very good question. Guys, a journalist of Fox News, all right, in October 2025 is asking Russian representative what sort of your requests? What sort of demands does Russia have to the world, to Ukraine, to Ukraine's allies to stop the war? First of all, in October 2025, the world still doesn't know Russia's main strategic goals in Ukraine. All right, Ukrainians do know, and most Europeans do know. But a journalist of Fox News, for some reason, has absolutely no fucking clue what the Russia wants in Ukraine, all right? What Russians need in order to stop its invasion of Ukraine. Despite all the talks, all the numerous talks between Russian representatives, American representatives, European representatives, Ukrainian representatives, they keep asking these questions. Don't you find this kind of suspicious, all right? Because to me it seems like, first of all, Russians can tell you whatever the fuck you want to hear, but we all understand their real goals is taking Ukraine and then expanding further into European countries and all the way to the borders of the beautiful United States, because Russians already have their navy stationed in Cuba and things like that. By the way, why doesn't current administration of President Trump, why don't they solve this situation? Because, for example, if we take a look at the map, all right, we will realize that Google Maps, let's open this one. If we take a look at the map, we will realize that, generally speaking, oh shit, are you kidding me? That, generally speaking, they should really think about this. Look, we have Cuba right here, right? And we have Havana right here. So, as you probably know, Russians are conducting numerous mutual military exercises, and specifically Russian Navy. They are conducting multiple military exercises together with the Cuban forces, like during the Cuban crisis, all right, the times that I'm sure a lot of you remember, it wasn't a joke, and basically people were expecting a fucking nuclear attack every single day, all right? It wasn't a joke for the whole world. But at the same time, today we have Russian forces stationed in Havana, literally just approximately, how much is that? Approximately 50 miles from the United States border. How do you like this? I'm sure you don't, right? But personally, I don't hear a lot of updates coming from the White House. I don't hear a lot of statements coming from the United States White House regarding this threat, because apparently the current administration doesn't care much. I don't know, you tell me, because I'm not an expert. But let's return to this one, because it's actually very interesting. Like, why do they keep asking them the same questions since March 2025 and still have no understanding what Russians really want, all right? Is it because they are not telling you what you want to hear, or is it because you literally have no... I don't know what to think about this one.
This whole thing. Concrete
Well,
things.
first of all, I'm focused quite a bit on economic and investments and overall relationship with the US and making sure the dialogue happens. But I think there are just several elements. One of that is security guarantees to Ukraine. And Russia said, yes, Russia is open to security guarantees.
Russia is open to secure to secure Ukrainian safety. Are you fucking kidding me? You said the same in 1994, and you even signed the fucking memorandum. All right. Let's check this out. Budapest memorandum. All right. If you take a closer look at this document, where is this document? Show me the document. I've seen it with my own eyes the other day, but anyways, if you take a look at the Budapest Memorandum, you can see that it was actually signed by these countries, all right? We have, my God, open image, open this for me, please. We can see that it was signed by Russia, by United States, France, and China were basically supporters, and also United Kingdom there behind the screen. There is also their flag. They guaranteed security to Ukraine, also to Kazakhstan, but they guaranteed security to Ukraine already. They said that we will literally support you against any country that is trying to attack you aggressively, all right, that is posing a threat to your sovereignty, independence, territorial integrity. We, United Kingdom, United States, and Russia will be protecting you, and we will be standing with you, my friends, if you give us your world's third largest nuclear arsenal, dear Ukrainians. We will be providing you with those security guarantees and make sure that no one else will fucking attack you. Then, boom, 2022, Russia that basically signed these security guarantees and received Ukrainian nuclear weapons is all of a sudden attacking us, and almost 4 years after that, the fuckers are talking about providing Ukraine with security guarantees. I didn't know that Kirill Dmitriev is actually working in Circus du Soleil, you know? I thought that he was a legit Russian representative, but turns out it's not the case. Actually, yes, Steve saying 2014 when terrorists attacked us, literally 20 years after signing the Budapest Memorandum. How fucked up is that? And the question is, if Russia is actually ready to provide Ukraine with security guarantees, do you trust them? Because, again, if I remember correctly, 2003, Putin himself signed a document together with Ukrainian President Kuchma. In 2003, Putin, this motherfucker, met with other motherfucker, Ukrainian President Kuchma. They signed another memorandum of Russia recognizing the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine. That's, again, something people don't talk much about, but in this document, Putin recognized the Ukrainian borders, recognized that Crimea and Donbass are parts of Ukraine, that Ukraine is independent country and things like that. It was 2003, it was literally 11 years before the terror Russian invasion that Putin started, okay? And now motherfuckers are talking about security guarantees for the country they are invading. Dear Fox News, don't invite fucking clowns, alright? As guests, because that is fucking cringy. Well, I admire the fact that you probably invited him to show that he's a motherfucking clown. But on the other hand, we're all serious people here, right? Let's hear from people who don't violate their agreements. Let's hear something from people who are actually trustworthy and not Russian, because Russians are fucking gangland, all right? Russians never keep their words. That's something that everyone will tell you, all right? And that's something that actually American people should know best, okay? In my personal opinion.
To Ukraine. There is definitely a territory issue where there is Russian population.
In 2003, Putin, while signing that document, all right, recognizing Ukrainian territorial integrity, he absolutely had zero territorial issues, all right? And the Russian-speaking population, for some reason, it doesn't want to go to Russia. The Russian-speaking population likes to stay in Ukraine because Russian-speaking population doesn't care about Russia. Russian-speaking population of Ukraine are Ukrainians. If we consider that Russian-speaking people are ethnic Russians, then apparently Kirill Dmitriev speaking right now English language is a fucking, I don't know, Welshman, all right? Maybe he comes from Cardiff himself, I don't know. Like Kirill Dmitriev is speaking English. Maybe he's a British citizen, right? Or Australian, or I'm getting it wrong.
Russian population that was attacked by Ukrainian forces even before the conflict.
Russian population was attacked by Ukrainian forces. So, as far as I remember, the only force that attacked Ukraine was Russian national Girkin Strelkov, all right? All sorts of Russian motherfuckers. Pavel Arseniev, also known as Motorola, all right, Russian national from Ukhta. I remember that they attacked Ukraine, actually, and they started ripping off the Ukrainian flags from the Ukrainian police stations. They started harassing, attacking, and shooting Ukrainian policemen. That's exactly what happened, and that's what we've seen on camera. Ukrainians attacking Russian-speaking population is something that we didn't see on happening on camera, all right? They never existed, all right? Those mythical, I don't know, Ukrainian Nazis that attacked Russian-speaking population, they didn't exist. President Zelensky is a Russian-speaking Ukrainian. Majority of Azov guys are Russian-speaking Ukrainians. They actually come from Kharkiv region. A lot of them come from different eastern regions. They speak Ukrainian themselves. But the fact is, the most cringy thing that, of course, Kirill Dmitriev will not be speaking about is that Azov itself emerged 1 month after Strelkov started capturing Ukrainian territories and capturing Ukrainian police stations and administrations. History is such a weird thing, you know, when you think about it chronologically, it answers a lot of your questions. Of course, in the beautiful imagination of Russian propagandists, all right, Ukrainians all of a sudden decided to go and kill like their neighbors, right, speaking Russian language, which nobody gave a fuck in Ukraine at all. Whatever language you speak, like fucking Chinese, Georgian, Jewish, we don't give a fuck. And all of a sudden, like, you know, we woke up, Nuland gave us poisoned cookies, all right, that turned us into bloody monsters. And one morning we woke up and we thought, why not kill my neighbor? He speaks Russian, all right? And we started doing that. And then Russia arrived, and after, you know, witnessing those millions of Russian mass graves scattered around Ukraine that no one has ever discovered, all right, as of today. After witnessing all that, Russia decided, we should take this land, all right, we should protect our men. And then they started, you know, eliminating those bloody Azov guys and everything else. So this is Russian version. Historical version is February 2014, Russia annexed Crimea. February, March, and also April, all right? February, March, April. Russia started annexing Donbass, and May, Azov fucking emerged, all right? So it emerged already months after Russian terrorists arrived to Ukraine, arrived to Donbass, started taking control over the Donbass regions, starting intimidating, shooting Ukrainian law enforcement, everything else. And months after that, Azov emerged. And also months after it emerged, the guys formed battalions the battalion, the guys formed companies, the guys passed training and everything else, and only months after that they actually went to the Donbass. Okay, that is something that Russians will be absolutely surprised to learn, that actually Azov didn't even exist when they invaded Ukraine. But of course, you don't see Kirill Dmitriev talking about it, because Kirill Dmitriev doesn't really want you to know the truth. Okay, let's return to this motherfucker.
Has started. And then there is the whole issue of neutrality of Ukraine, which is important for security of Russia.
The question of neutrality of Ukraine was so important for Russia that Russia decided to invade Ukraine and snatch a bunch of Ukrainian territories. I'm just speaking, speaking in terms of the real picture, because again, Kirill Dmitriev will be saying shit like, yes, Russia was threatened so bad, fucking NATO expansion, alright, we were threatened. There was a big risk that this big evil NATO will attack our tiny and peaceful Russia, alright, Russia that didn't fight over the past century at all. Even speaking of like 90s, 2000s, Russia didn't fight at all, especially, outside its borders. No. So there was a risk that Ukraine, that actually had ongoing war on its territory, would magically join NATO and then attack the terrorist federation. This, let's, oh my God, Ukraine, Russia. So like sorry, not this one, like here, all right, here we have this absolutely huge evil Ukraine, all right. My God, where is it? Here we have this huge evil Ukraine, all right, huge evil Ukraine, a NATO country, all right, that wanted to attack tiny peaceful Russian Federation, all right. It's so tiny, so it cannot even fit on the screen though. But you get the idea. Russians were terrified. Russians were fucking waking up in the middle of the night with a cold sweat, imagining the fucking threat posed by big evil Ukrainian country against tiny peaceful loving Russian Federation. They couldn't sleep, they couldn't eat, they couldn't poop properly. Russians were so terrified with this idea. So basically that's the reason why they decided to fucking invade Ukraine, kill plenty of people, Russian speaking people, by the way, people primarily living in the eastern region. They fucking bombed, executed them, buried them in the mass graves in Izum, and they decided to basically attach Ukrainian land because Ukraine was posing a threat to Russia. So that's easy and simple explanation for people watching the interview with Kirill Dmitriev, right? And trying to understand what the fuck is he talking. Oh, he's maybe talking about, like clever things. Tiny Russian country needs security guarantees and protection from big evil Ukraine. All right. I hope my explanation was useful for you, my friends. So, speaking of the terror Russian strike on the Ukrainian territory that unfortunately took place this morning, and we have information about victims, about casualties. We have massive fire over Kyiv early in the morning, and just yesterday, my friends, I was that's yesterday attack. That's not today's attack, but this one is unfortunately today's. In the Desnyansky region, there was a strike on the Ukrainian residential building. You can see the results. The multiple levels of the building, unfortunately, were damaged, and approximately 30 people were wounded. That is confirmed. Also, there are there are deceased, and among them there are 5 children. So Russia is showing what its security guarantees basically look like, all right? They look like this. And you can see the, like, literally balconies, apartments of people who only yesterday had home, all right? And today they already don't, all right? That's people's lives there on the screen. Motherfuckers. And they speak about security guarantees, my friends. Russians. Yes, we attacked Ukraine and we can also provide it with security guarantees if they give up and die. All right? And some of the more delusional and brainwashed people in the United States and Europe, they will be watching them and listening to them and thinking, yeah, that sounds legit. Russia that invaded Ukraine can actually be negotiated, all right, peacefully into stopping the war in Ukraine. If Ukrainian people just give up and die, great idea. Why not? So let's calm down a bit, have coffee, all right, and puff. Vape ohne Nikotine. I love ranting in the morning. I love ranting in the morning. It wakes me up better than anything. Better than heavy metal, actually. Hugging, hello, and as Walsh Gamer, Dumb Trump, Mach 7 Radio intercepts. Mach 7, really? 9 Moon Planet, and everyone else, Croupier, Jellyfish, Thomas, Oliver, Bridget, yeah, I already said hello to you, I believe. Love Earthlings. I love the nickname. Same here. And Possum, Sweet 7433, and JG. The hardest part of learning Ukrainian is rolling the R's. I agree on that. One of the hardest parts of, like, for example, learning German is also rolling the R's, the German R's. That's insane, but I'm doing my best. Greeting to the beautiful Finland, my friend Podskuli. Diana, hey, from temporarily occupied United States. What can I say? Andrew, you were almost like George's. What do you mean? What do you mean? How is Pasha and Max doing? Thomas, they're doing well. Recently, they published the update regarding your support. They lost the car during the recent drone strike. 4 drones attacked the building where they were located, actually. It's crazy. And the craziest fact is that they survived, thank God, of course, and they only lost a bunch of their equipment. They lost the car, and as soon as they, like, woke up and realized that they're alive, they started helping the guys, the people in that very house. So it was crazy, but they're fine. And Max also is out of the hospital. He's also fine. He had a surgery. It's not really related to the war itself, but it was kind of serious, kind of nasty. But now it's fine. Everything's okay. Zurimo, as a German, Spain are rolling R's. We don't. Like, you don't, but the way you pronounce the German R is still very hard to learn, all right? For a Ukrainian, because this sound doesn't exist in our language, and this is something that we should learn. So, but basically, I think it's the same with the R's. with like Slavic ars. Let's continue, all right, with our updates. I had coffee, I puffed, and I'm ready to go. So, European Union in 2024 is a third biggest trade partner of the terrorist federation. According to Die Bild, the value of the mutual trade is approximately 67.5 billion euro. That's, again, according to 2024 data. Among the leaders, there's still China with the value of import-export worth 244.8 billion dollars, and also India is on the second place. So compared to China, of course, it's kind of encouraging, but the most discouraging fact is that 67.5 billion euro is basically enough to fuel the war for years and years. And that's literally what our European allies are paying to Russia, all right? Putin recently showcased the new Terror-Russian missile, which, of course, he won't showcase, for example, new Terror-Russian vaccine or treatment against cancer, or, for example, I don't know, all the guys who compete for winning Nobel Prize, all the Russians that compete for winning the Nobel Prize, they oftenly live outside Russia, all right? And in Russia, they are prosecuted. So we will not see anything beautiful coming from the terrorist federation, but of course we will see fucking missiles built by them, all right? So the orcs showcased a missile that, according to them, is using the pulse nuclear engine, which means that it can fly indefinitely and stay in the air for years, all right? Here we have some of the specifications. They say that the engine is turbojet nuclear, the range is unlimited, it has months of unlimited flights, the speed is between 850 and 1300 kilometers per hour, the altitude of flight between 25 and 100 meters. Meters? I don't get it. And also, according to the Russian terrorists, it's equipped with the nuclear warhead. So we have another weapon of the mass disinformation here. Guys, I have a request for you, all right? I have a request. I just showed you the news, all right? Like this turbo-nuclear Russian missile, all right? I have a request for you. Please, my friends, please. Don't show this to Joe Rogan, all right? If you show this to Joe Rogan, we might actually witness another case of like heart attack, all right, during a live broadcast. Please don't do that. I don't want to see his fucking red face hysterically screaming about the possibility of the nuclear apocalypse. We will all die, you know, we should give up to Russia, we should give them Ukraine. We should kill Ukrainians so they, you know, they would stop threatening, the Russians stop threatening us with nuclear power and nuclear apocalypse and things like that. Russians are so advanced. Russians create nuclear missiles. They create like super weapons and we cannot do anything. So we should literally kiss their asses and things like that. I don't want to see that because I don't want to vomit on my computer, all right? Please don't show this to Joe Rogan. That's the only request I have to you, my dear friends, all right? Please hear me out, because I'm worried about the dude. Like I'm literally worried about it. I'm not worried about the fucking Russian nuclear missile, but I'm worried about Joe Rogan. He might actually have some fucking seizure, alright? Especially if he's streaming like with, I don't know, another hysterics like Dave Smith or I don't know, whatever Vatnik he finds for his show. So here we can see a bunch of Russian 3D graphics from the DCS world. We can see the launch station, we can see this shit being launched. Here, this is how it flies. This is the warhead. Russians pretending they're working really, really hard, to build this missile, and we see it in the construction bureau. This is what it looks like. And by the way, these images emerged immediately after the Oshkosh was presented, in the United States, showcasing the launch platform for Tomahawks, all right? The land platform for launching Tomahawks. This shit emerged immediately after that. So, how realistic is this, considering that Russia is the leading producer of disinformation and bullshit around the world? I don't know, alright? I wasn't there, I cannot tell you. I can see some images coming from Russia, but on the other hand, guys, when the Russian terrorist Girkin Strelkov shot down MH17, a civilian Boeing full of people, when 298 civilians died from the hands of the Russian terrorists in Ukraine in 2014, which is, by the way, something we should never forget. So I remember that as soon as he did that, the Russians said, please take us into this investigation team, we will help you investigate. And then they published a bunch of photoshops showing allegedly Ukrainian aircraft Su-25 that on the picture looks like MiG-29 and shuts down this very Boeing in the air. And if you compare, for example, the location of the clouds on this image, for some reason it literally corresponds to the same clouds that were there stationary on the Google Maps taken like that very year. Oh my god, how did it happen? Apparently we have constant clouds, that cloud lives here for years and that cloud lives there for years. Also Su-25 that Russians presented a whole investigation. There was Ukrainian pilot with Romanian name for some reason that shot down that airplane, and of course they know where this Romanian pilot lives, but they of course will not give you this information. Yes, but honestly, all right, Russians are speaking honestly. Who actually shot down this this Malaysian aircraft on his Su-25, which can only fly at the altitude of, as far as I remember, something like 20 something feet, but not at the altitude of 36,000 feet, according to the Russian bullshitters who actually said that, yeah, it climbed that altitude and shot down the Malaysian aircraft. Immediately after that, the Wikipedia page regarding Su-25 was changed mysteriously, Yesterday, the Wikipedia page was saying that, no, actually Su-25 cannot climb that high. Today, boom, turns out it can. We just didn't know. And all those beautiful photoshops and misinformation and bullshit were fed throughout years from Russians to the international community, showing that Russians didn't shoot down the aircraft because we didn't have Buk anti-air system, the air defense system. Oh no, actually, yeah, we did have that air defense system, but we didn't shoot down the aircraft. Oh yeah, we actually shot down some aircraft, but it wasn't MH17, it was a Ukrainian aircraft. Oh, we actually shot down some Boeing, that's like, versions changing, like the next day. We actually shot down some Boeing, but this Boeing was full of actually dead bodies. They were dead before they landed, because those bodies bodies were taken from another MH flight that was snatched by the American CIA, and then the bodies were relocated from this Boeing to that Boeing. So that's what we shot down. And by the way, it wasn't us, it was a Ukrainian pilot. So when Russians are showing you shit like this, all right, like mighty Russian missile, all right, this is what it looks like, and like this is how it flies, and stuff like that. I have high doubts, all right? I'm highly doubtful that Russians actually have something, all right? Because they cannot even capture a single major city in Ukraine in 4 years since the start of their fucking invasion. And the reason why they're shooting those missiles is because they're shooting those missiles into Joe Rogan, into Tim Pool, into Dave Smith, into Colonel McGregor. They're shooting those missiles at Scott Ritter. They're shooting those missiles at Candace, whatever her name is, Owens, JMT, and all other supporters of the Russian terrorism, fans of Putin's ass, and all those people, all right? So those missiles are designed for them on the first place. That's just my opinion, okay? Now, what else do we have? In Ukhta. Okay, all right. I feel like I'm gonna laugh like crazy here. I need to prepare for this one. Guys, you will love this. Fuck, where's the E of Arseniy Pavlov Motorola? You will like the next update, alright? You will fucking love it, I swear. So, in Ukhta, that's far in the Komi Republic in the Terrorist Federation. Why is it called Komi Republic? Well, basically, it was a place where Komi people lived before they were occupied, annexed, and removed by the Russian terrorists decades ago. So, in Ukhta, the Russians established a statue dedicated to Arseniy Pavlov, also known as Motorola. All right. I'm sure that some of you know this individual. All right. Like he looks like from the ape planet, but comparing him to apes is basically insulting the animals. This individual is known for being one of the Russian icons. All right. When the invasion of Ukraine began. All right, this amazing individual became Russian icon. This absolutely beautiful intellectual face on your screen. He became basically a Russian national ruling one of the so-called brigades there, one of the terrorist groups called Sparta. And he is known for like furiously trying to kill Ukrainian defenders of the Donetsk airport and things like that. So this individual, all right, something like, I'm not sure, does he have a stroke or what? Like, why is his face like that? I have no idea. First of all, he became better, all right, because eventually Ukrainian SBU, the security service, and Ukrainian special forces, Ukrainian main intelligence directorate, they got fed up with this dude, and he was improved in the elevator of the house that he occupied in Donbass, all right, in Donetsk. So he became a better person. He is now fertilizing the the elevator shaft, but. His nickname is Motorola, of course, amazing call sign, and they are building statues in Russia to glorify this Russian terrorists, all right? Like this one is improved with AI. This one is original, all right? Why is his beard red? Well, it's because he was kissing Putin's ass so much all this time, all right? What is he known about for, all right? He is known, for example, he is like, check what we're gonna do right now. It's a like morning workout, and basically Motorola, fuck coming from Russia, like literally Russian national, is loading his fucking grenade launcher and just shoots around in Donetsk. He shoots at houses, he shoots at buildings where people live, just for fun, alright? Like this comes literally from Donetsk downtown, alright? That's before the full-scale invasion. He says, our guys are sleeping, the war doesn't disturb them, so let's have some fun. And he literally loads the grenade launcher and starts shooting it in Donetsk downtown, alright? In different directions. How do you like that? So basically that's literally a Russian national who doesn't give a fuck. But like people of Donbass, Russian-speaking people, he came from Russia to Ukraine to kill, to have fun, alright? And of course he had fun. Like his biggest fun took place in the elevator, alright, of the Ukrainian house that he occupied. So Russian nationals are building statues dedicated to this imbecile in Russia, okay? Guys, let me know this. What would you say if you woke up and saw, for example, a video of American soldiers, all right, or for example, American National Guardsmen, all right, somewhere in the Washington, D.C. downtown, recording a video like, dude, can you shoot some of the grenades, you know, around the downtown, just in case, because, you know, we have this very, very hard situation in the United States. Why not have some fun? Let's remind people that we have a hard situation, complicated situation. And the dude is like, yeah, sure, let's do that. And he takes his AR-15 with the grenade launcher, and he starts shooting grenades in Washington, D.C., in the downtown early in the morning, just to wake up people and remind them like about war, heavy economical situation, things like that. What would you think about this American soldier? I believe that probably next thing you think about is maybe, I don't know, seeing that soldier either eliminated instantly by American sniper or taken to jail or some mental institution. In Russia, they give them statues, all right? They give them statues for literally shooting people. Why do they do that? Well, basically because Russia is not a civilization, all right? It's a gangland. Russia is a place populated by mentally impaired citizens, all right? Citizens that were raised on the ideology of violence, fascism, Russian supremacy, and basically turned into Russian terrorists. That's the only explanation why Russia and United States are fucking worlds away, all right? And not only Russia and United States, but also Russia and Ukraine. They are fucking worlds away, all right? When you cross borders between Russia and Ukraine, as one of the characters of Kiev of Mine said, you're not crossing borders between different countries. You're crossing borders between different civilizations, all right? Different planets. That's something that we should all remember. Returning to our updates, we have. I wanted to share this cringe with you, my friends, just so you could understand why Ukrainians are so skeptic generally, all right? Because we also have crazy people, all right? We also have crazy people among us, and on your screen, you actually can see Olya Polyakova, who is. I kind of respect her. She's a Ukrainian singer. She was singing Russian all this time before the full-scale Russian invasion. All right. She was singing in Russian language. Again, please don't show this episode to people like, I don't know, Tucker Carlson, for example, because he will be saying, she couldn't sing in Russian language in 2021. She couldn't. You're lying. The Russian language was fucking banned in Ukraine. You were shooting Ukrainians for speaking Russian language, all right? She was singing a majority of her songs in Russian language before the full-scale invasion took place, before 2022, basically, right? As soon as this Russian full-scale invasion happened, she started writing her songs in Ukrainian. She voluntarily decided to switch from singing and speaking in the rectal Russian language into her native Ukrainian language. She learned it, just like President Zelensky, by the way, she learned it. She struggles speaking Ukrainian language. But in my personal opinion, she's absolutely heroic because she really did. She did something that I did back when I was 16 years old, all right? And now she writes songs in Ukrainian, she speaks in Ukrainian language because Russian motherfuckers invaded our country in 2022, and a lot of people consider speaking their language fucking insult, all right? I don't blame at all Ukrainians speaking Russian language, generally because, again, you know that Ukrainian history was very, very difficult and complicated. Ukrainians were blamed for speaking their native language. Ukrainians were deprived of their language. They were repressed for speaking Ukrainian. And basically they grew up with a huge psychological complex that if you're speaking Ukrainian language, you're a fucking yokel, all right? You're a peasant. You will not have future if you speak Ukrainian. That is why I don't blame Ukrainians, because they were undergoing tremendous repression. They were brainwashed so bad throughout decades. And a lot of people grew up thinking that I speak Russian language because this is my native language. I lived my whole life in Ukraine, of course, yeah. But I speak Russian language because this is my history. My parents spoke Russian language, so I will speak Russian language as well, all right? While the reason they speak Russian language is because their grandparents were fucking forced to speak it. So this is how it comes through generation, and this is basically why big part of Ukrainian population also speaks Russian, just so you could understand. So I don't blame them. People like Olya Polyakova, I fucking love her because she actually shows a good example on how to actually restore your roots, or how to actually return to your roots, all right? And how to show everyone that whatever bullshit Russians are saying, you know, basing their invasion, justifying their atrociousness on the language question, it's all a fucking bullshit, all right? She was singing and speaking Russian all this time until 2022, and now she sings and speaks in Ukrainian. But at the same time, what she says, she says, in 2025,
року, 26 жовтня, буде мир.
This video was recorded like years ago when she predicted that on 26th of October 2025 there will be peace in Ukraine. Didn't work. Yesterday I showed you the rabbi that predicted that the war will end in January next year. All right, Olya Polyakova predicted that it ends basically today, but you know, I'm checking the clock all the time. Unfortunately, doesn't work. Yeah. So why am I showing this to you, guys? Ukrainians, of course, want peace. We are trying to find any news, any indication, all right, that the world will end tomorrow, that everything will be fine. Doesn't work like that. Let's not hype on this, all right? Let's keep doing what we're doing, which is basically turning Russian invaders into fertilizer, because this is the only and the most effective way of dealing with Russian terrorists. Unfortunately, peace talks, all right, let's continue trying, okay, but the only and most effective way of fighting against Russian terrorism at this very point is turning their invaders into fertilizer massively, and in just a minute I will show you how exactly we're doing that, and also speaking out, all right, talking about Ukraine every single day, raising awareness. Different social media, I will tell you a small secret, all right? Different social media are actually introducing new algorithms that only dedicate a quota of time, not like time, but quota of traffic to Ukraine, because 2022, 23, 24, Ukraine was everywhere in the news, on the front pages. Russian invasion of Ukraine, the biggest crime in the 21st century, was in the news everywhere, and because of that, and a lot of people started protesting, like, dude, I'm a cooker, or like, I'm a cook, all right, I cook food, but I don't receive as much traffic as all the resources talking about Ukraine. Please do something. Or, for example, I don't know, I'm a gardener, all right, I make content about gardens, and like the whole front page is dedicated to Ukraine, nobody's watching my channel. So they introduced an algorithm that actually limits the amount of information about Ukraine that you can see every single day, which, on the other hand, of course, yeah, there are people like gardeners and cooks and everyone else becoming a bit happier, other content creators. I don't see anything wrong about that, but the very fact that you can see limited information about Ukraine is actually disturbing, because that's exactly what Russians want. So one way of dealing with Russian terrorism is making them better, all right, turning them into fertilizer, and the second thing is to keep talking about Ukraine. Despite algorithms, despite limits, quotas, we can keep talking about Ukraine, we can keep spreading Ukrainian content and content dedicated to Ukraine. That's like the easiest thing we can do, and one of the most effective things we can do, all right? Because, for example, Russians spent tremendous money on promoting their content, on literally making it more widespread and more popular. They spent billions of dollars of their very own money, all right? And we can do it for free. We can just make it much more easier. So, returning to her, is she a good singer? I would say that she's not the worst singer. She's a pop singer, and she is popular singer. It's basically she does pop music. She's popular in Ukraine. She was also popular in Russia while she was singing Russian songs, but I think that she's banned at this moment because she's supporting Ukrainian defenders. She helps them. She donates to Ukrainian defenders and things like that. And of course, Ukrainians applaud her. Ukrainians want to believe that the war will end today and things like that, but that's kind of cruel, because Ukrainians hope this war to finish tomorrow, right? And making such predictions is actually, it's like, I don't know, it's like hyping. There was another scandal involving this very singer, Oля Polyakova. I don't remember what it was about, but actually, I saw her. First, the training ground, all right, where my brigade was training. So there's this big military territory, occupied by the military training center, and then there's a bunch of country houses. Okay, and she lived in that country house, in one of those, and the only way she could get to her country house is through the territory of the military training center. So it was allowed to people who live in those country houses to use that road, all right? Like, you can only drive this way, you cannot turn left or right from the gate to your country house. So basically, her country house was the safest place on earth because it was protected. Good morning, Sparky. All my love and hugs and the most positive energy is going to the beautiful people of Cardiff, as always. Her house was the most protected place on earth because it was guarded by the Ukrainian National Guard 24/7, all right? But I've seen her multiple times, literally in her car, going to and from her place. And before that, when I worked at the television, we had a corporate party. She was invited, actually, as a singer. She's fucking tall. She's like 2 meters tall. And especially when she wears like those high heels. She's tall. All right. And speaking of turning Russians into fertilizer for Ukrainian cucumbers, which, by the way, makes me extremely fucking hungry right now, Russians recorded Ukrainian drones massively hunting Russian terrorists at their positions, all right? Just so you could understand. That's like actual footage coming from Russian terrorists. Let me just remove this one and play it one more time for you. All right. So we can see a bunch of drones in the air. Sounds are absolutely menacing, and there's like those Russian positions. We can see a bunch of Baba Yaga drones. Those are big, heavy bomber drones, all right, on the screen. Of course, we can see a bunch of smaller, multiple tiny FPV drones that are harder to spot, but they're fast, and they're also flying there. So in this frame, you could already see at least a dozen of Ukrainian drones literally flying like that, hunting Russians, all right, searching them like tiny buzzing angels of death, searching for the Russian motherfuckers and hunting them like fucking animals. So, the fuck did I do? My God. The fuck did I do? I destroyed everything. Alright, we're back. The Russians are saying that they cannot exit their positions because of this. Okay? Everything sucks. There is no way to hide from Ukrainian drones that equipped with thermal vision and everything else. All those nets, they use different things that are supposed to protect them from thermal vision cameras, don't work at all. And basically, yeah, that's a horrible fate of a Russian invader on Ukrainian soil. Like, that stuff is actually menacing. And of course, Russians cannot introduce the same. So just so you could understand the reason why all the Russian attacks, why all the Russian advances are failing so dramatically, and why they're losing hundreds and hundreds of Russian invaders every single day, all right? You can train birds to intercept drones. I know about that one. And actually, we are training drones to hunt drones because why not? All right. We have tinier, even cheaper drones that can crash into a bit more expensive Russian drones, effectively intercepting them. And I think that's the best thing because, first of all, training birds, I know that it's effective, but me personally, I would never send a bird to intercept Russian drone. It's dangerous. Like, you're training a bird, it takes time to raise the creature, and also I cannot send an animal to its inevitable death, all right, because it may get injured by the propellers if they have the self-destruction system installed on this drone. The bird will die and stuff like that. It sucks. It's much easier to build, for example, a bunch of cheaper drones, like when you go to a toy store, for example, right? And they sell like those cheap drones for kids, all right? I bought such drone for my kid several years ago, and the kid went to the village and crashed this drone into a herd of cattle and lost it there somewhere, but I didn't care because it was really, really cheap actually. And you can train such drones. You don't even need to control them. They can be literally AI equipped, and they can hunt Russian drones easily. So that's the best solution that we can have. And by the way, Ukrainian army is already building those, all right? Not only to intercept Russian Shaheds, but also like FPV drones. FPV is cheap, but that drone can be even cheaper. Doesn't even require any explosive. You just crash it into a target, and that's it. So let's continue. Guys, that's like crazy to think about. We couldn't imagine this happening even in 2024, all right? Like even last year, we literally couldn't imagine this happening on the battleground, all right? Actually, especially in Ukraine, all right? But now you can see that Ukraine is literally turning into a world leading country in terms of drone warfare. Something I didn't see coming, but something very, very cool to see. And Ukraine will only expand this with the help of our colleagues, our partners and allies. I am looking forward to seeing this technology expanding and being used by all of Ukraine's allies, all of our European partners and friends, because that is something that can actually be used to stop that mighty Russian army that is preparing to invade Europe and bring back the old Soviet territories and conquer the new ones. We can easily use the drone technologies to turn them into fertilizer, for example, for Polish apples, for I don't know, German corn and things like that. We can do that, all right? And speaking of the main topic of today's video, my friends, Russians decided to conduct a poll, all right? And they asked their respondents, who is the best ever Russian leader, who brought the most wealth, the most development to the terrorist federation ever in their history, all right? And surprisingly and absolutely unexpectedly, no, my friends, there's no Navalny. Navalny was never a leader in Russia, and generally speaking, he was a Nazi Russian fuck, all right? But surprisingly, majority Russians believe that the most positive changes, most wealth and stuff to the terrorist federation were brought by Vladimir Putin, internationally wanted war criminal, otherwise known as Huilo, and also Joseph Stalin, another war criminal, massively banned throughout the world, responsible for the genocide of all sorts of his population. I'm talking all sorts of nations within the Soviet Union. And also Joseph Stalin is known for being one of the biggest allies of Adolf Hitler before the Russian Great Patriotic War, all right? So Joseph Stalin was Hitler's best friend. There was Pact of Molotov-Ribbentrop that was signed between the Nazi Germany and Soviet Empire, all right, between Hitler and Stalin. They signed the pact dividing Europe, all right? So basically they decided to divide Europe between those two countries, between those two regimes, and they started with Poland. So when the Second World War started, basically German army was attacking Poland and tearing its western part. The Soviet army invaded Poland and tore its eastern part, all right? So Stalin and Hitler effectively were allies. And just to remind you, for example, all right, because this is something that... where is the E letter here? Brest Parade 1939, all right? Because this is, we should always remember, here we have a mutual parade in the occupied city of Brest, 1939. We can see, for example, German troops, all right? My God, I'll just be doing like this. We can see, for example, Russians and their German allies in 1939. This is something that actually Russians don't like to talk about because they don't want to admit that actually Stalin, the person that they recognize as one of the bestest ever leaders of Russia, was actually Hitler's ally when the Second World War started. And actually, if Hitler didn't attack Soviet Union in 1941, there's a big chance that my grandpa would be actually commanding not T-34, but something like Tiger, all right, or Panther instead, all right? So if it didn't happen, I believe that actually allies might have lost their war if Hitler didn't turn against Stalin, all right? And they continued being allies, and then Hitler would ask Stalin for help to help him fight allies. Actually, the outcome of the World War II could be absolutely different. But the fact is that Stalin and Hitler at some point lost it, all right, and started fighting each other. Yes, but before that, we can see this amazing friendship between Hitler and Stalin, between the Nazi German army and the Red Army. They had parades together. They were absolutely... Guys, the pictures are over there in Google. Just Google Brest 1939. You will see it yourself, okay? Everything is documented. Here we can see the soldiers of the Red Army on the foreground, the Nazi soldiers of the Third Reich on the background, having mutual parade together. And they are not that, you know, Russians had also the Army of Collaboration is called Russian Liberation Army. They are not the Russian Liberation Army. They are the Red Army, okay? This one is absolutely beautiful. Here, by the way, you can see the portraits of Stalin, Hitler, and everyone else. And you can see German and Red Army officers sitting together, discussing things. Here, those look like Russian Red Army officer sharing a cigarette with his German allies in 1939. There's also, you can see the whole parade. That's German tank, German bikers, Russian soldiers and Germans saluting to each other, all right? And the cringiest picture is actually, I wanted to show you, is, must be here, by the way. Where is it? Must be here because it's very, very cool, all right? It's something that I would like every Russian to actually see. And by the way, all this on your screens, all those pictures, all right, all that parade and stuff. The only reason it happened was because Stalin recognized Russia's greatest ruler of all times. Stalin sent his troops over there. And actually I found the picture, all right? I will not show the flag. You probably understand what sort of flag it is on your screens. But generally here you can see Russian soldiers and Nazi German soldiers saluting Nazi flag, all right? I will give you just a tiny, tiny hint. Yes, it is Nazi flag. So both Red Army officers and Nazi soldiers, 1939, best allies, best friends, two huge countries, all right, best friends forever, best friends before 1941. They were saluting the Nazi flag together, just so you could understand the level of hypocrisy when Russians are saying we are fighting against Nazism. They are fighting against Nazism only because the Nazi at some point attacked them, all right? But otherwise, the Russians are Nazis themselves. Russians didn't have anything against Nazism when they were tearing Poland apart, all right? Russians didn't have anything, they didn't see anything wrong with German Nazism in like 1938 when they had mutual military exercise, by the way, with German troops, when they were teaching German tankers how to conduct proper tank attacks, and later, years after that, they were attacked by the German guys that they taught themselves. So that is just a tiny, tiny, cringy page from the Russian history that Russians actually don't want you to know, because this goes against all sorts of their propaganda. This goes against the whole Russian disinformation machine. You will not see Skabeyeva or Solovyov talking about Stalin and Hitler being allies, about Stalin and Hitler actually dividing Poland, dividing Europe as allies, as friends, as partners, German Nazis and Red Army having mutual parade in the occupied city of Brest. They will not be talking about that, because that completely destroys all sorts of their bullshit about, you know, being the anti-fascists, being the fighters for the free world and stuff like that. All right. And I cannot really understand how is it possible for the country built on lies and bullshit to survive for so long. But one thing I will tell you for sure is that it doesn't matter how long this country can survive. It will not survive like that forever, all right? Lies cannot last forever. So let's return to this beautiful poll. Russians selected Putin and Stalin. 65% of Russian respondents. It's again dedicated, to people who say, no, there's actually like just a tiny minority of Russians support the Russian invasion. All right. Generally speaking, Russia is full of absolutely beautiful and amazing people who don't support Russian terrorism, who don't want to go back and stuff like that. Russian youth is brilliant. Russian youth has absolutely amazing, clear brain, and they don't support Russian terrorism. So, 65% of Russian respondents admitted that Putin is Russia's greatest leader of all times. In year 2000, guys, 25 years ago, in year 2000, 12% of Russians thought that Putin was great leader. 2025, 65%. Well, you say, all right, 25 years, that's a lot. In 2018, 54% Russians considered Putin the greatest leader. 7 years later, this amount of people grew up, it increased to 65%. Okay? Russians are not changing, all right? They are not becoming more sober. They are not becoming more clear-minded, seeing what their fucked up dictator is doing to other countries, like Ukraine. They're not becoming clear-minded. They keep supporting their dictator more and more every year, all right? If you think that it's possible to negotiate, to refer to their best, inner feelings, emotions, fuck that. They don't have them. They are robots, all right? They are not human beings. That's a different fucking civilization. Okay, they are deaf. They will never listen to you, and they will rather listen to fucking Skabeeva over there on the screen nagging about sanctions and shit. The West hates us so much because we are so good. We are Russians. We have soul, and the West doesn't have anything. Evil, rotting West. All right, they will be listening to them. They will not be listening to you, my friends. They will not be listening to people asking Russians to stop being fucking murderers and actually becoming a better country, because becoming a better country means stopping being fucking Russians. That's the fact, all right? Russia exists because it's not like European Union and not like any other civilized Western country. So they exist because they are like that, all right? If they change, if they become democratic country, they will stop being what they are today. So that's just so you could understand, all right? 2018, 54% Russians supported Putin as the greatest leader. After the beginning of the war, the amount of supporters grew to 60%, and now it's 65%. So Stalin is on the second place. He received 45% votes. And the number of people that, by the way, I believe that there is not a single family in Russia that didn't lose their relatives, their grandparents to Stalin, to the repressions and everything else. But at the same time, the human biomass in Russia voted recognizing Stalin second most popular Russian ruler, 45%. Over the past 9 years, his popularity grew in the Russian society from 31% to 45%. So basically, 9 years ago, you would go down the street in Moscow and only each third Russian you were looking at, you would consider being a stupid motherfucker, because that was probably some hardcore communist, all right? Considering Stalin, a fucking savior of the Russian people. Nowadays is basically every second, all right? Even though Russia is not technically a communist country at this point, but psychologically they fucking are. And psychologically now the popularity of Stalin, the bloody maniac, who sent millions of his people into death camps on the Russian territory, the dude who cleared the streets of Soviet Union from disabled Soviet veterans, all right, sending them to different camps where they would just rot and die, all right, far from people, so they don't see that on the streets. The dude who committed multiple crimes against people and who actually intimidated the West so bad, the dude who designed nuclear weapons to be used against the Western civilizations. So now his popularity in entire Russia is growing, and basically half of Russian population considers this bloody maniac Stalin some of the most popular rulers of the terrorist federation. Okay, on the third position, oh my god, on the third position is Vladimir Ilyich Lenin himself. Vladimir Ilyich Lenin. Lenin. Wait a second. Is it, wait, according to 2025, yeah, I'm just looking at 1995. Third position, Brezhnev, for real? Okay. So, the Russian sympathies towards Nikolai II, that, by the way, was completely annihilated by Russian communists, okay, is growing. And also, the Russian sympathies towards Brezhnev is growing. Who is Brezhnev, all right? Let me just remind to you... like, in case you have forgotten accidentally, right? So on the third place, this guy, the dude who became known for being some of the biggest propagandists of LGBT culture in the Soviet Union. Yay! So the dude, the Brezhnev, the legend, that one is actually on the third place. Why Brezhnev? So basically, when Brezhnev was ruling the Soviet Union, not much things were happening, all right? Like, not much things. And because not much bad things were happening in the Soviet Union, people actually consider this time as the most peaceful time, all right? Because they were not really sent to like meet waves somewhere, all right, in Afghanistan. Wait, was he ruling during Afghanistan? Brezhnev, let me know. He looked actually okay when he was young. Yeah, so he died 3 years after the beginning of the Russian invasion of Afghanistan, actually. So, kinda meh. But again, as a ruler of Soviet Union, all right, he basically ruled for many years. And shit, he's the one, by the way, who enjoyed hunting together with Milke from Eastern Germany, as far as I remember, of course. As far as I remember. He's the dude who would invite him to like hunting and stuff, and like drink a lot and do crazy shit. And French kiss massively, alright? I wonder if he kissed Milke, actually. Oh my god, like this tender smoochy. I fucking love it. Why don't Russians say anything about this? Fuck, Russians proclaim LGBTQ in the terrorist federation fucking terrorist movement, all right? If you are arrested for LGBT in the terrorist federation, you're going to jail as a fucking extremist. I shit you not. But on the other hand, like, why they don't say anything about that? Like, what the fuck? Again, guys, we have a lot of alternative histories, okay? We have alternative history where Russians just went to Ukraine to save the ethnic population of Russia, all right? Like this version. We have a version of Stalin defending the world against Nazism, all right? Never been alive with Hitler. We have another alternative point of view, all right? For example, LGBT bad, but when Brezhnev French kisses other men, that's just perfect, all right? That's exactly what we need in the terrorist federation. Russia is fucking built on those controversies, because when your whole story, when the whole history of your country is built on bullshit, you will inevitably have things like that, all right? Things that self-eliminate, things that don't correlate with each other. I believe that Ali is literally cursing me right now because I'm streaming for almost 2 hours already, and soon we will have to actually wrap it up. But before it happens, let's continue with some of our updates, because we still have something to talk about. Check this out, my dear friends. What you see on your screens is actually Mariupol before the terrorist Russian invasion. The city that spoke Ukrainian and Russian language, nobody was executed, people had good time, bloody Azovites were ruling this city, and people were absolutely fine and safe and secure, and everything was good. They had they had coffee, they had working stores, working McDonald's, by the way, groceries and light, electricity and everything else. Of course, I would put more effort into cleaning streets though, but as we can see, the roads were clean at least, all right? And people were celebrating Christmas, people were celebrating being happy and being together. So that's Mariupol that we've lost, all right? That's the Mariupol that we have lost. And basically, this is what Mariupol looks like today. All right. Of course, Russians are pretending that they're building something, all right? Like they're trying to renovate Mariupol. They built a couple of houses for like families there, all right? They built a couple of houses that are falling apart right now, and they pretend that everything's fine, people are happy. At the same time, there's plenty of footage, again, showing people literally exposing all this shit. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Those houses are falling apart. We don't have water. The child playgrounds that we built for our kids, they're falling apart. I don't know. You didn't even care, all right, while building them. Like those, all right? Like you can see the houses that Russians built for eliminated people of Mariupol. By the way, the question is, who will be living in those houses? How do you think? Instead of citizens of Mariupol that were killed by Russians. Because that is literally how Russians, just like fucking locust, is occupying other lands. I wanted to show you something antique, actually. You would freaking love it, all right? So what you see on the screen, and I will remove this stuff because this is extremely cool. Oh my God. That's a Soviet caricature made in 1953 and designed to portray, guess who? You, my friends. In 1953, the Soviet Empire, I believe that Stalin already died or was just about to die, and basically the Soviet propagandist machine portrayed you. So let me decipher this one for you, my friends. This one is called, in this restaurant only one person is served. And if you take a closer look, you can see hungry people. This one is called school, and the kid holding empty plate. This one is called libraries, and here you can see a person holding an empty plate. Here you can see art, all right, the person with an empty plate. There's on the side, there is healthcare and the person holding empty plate. And on the foreground here, you can see, how do I switch my ugly face off? Here in the foreground, you can effectively see the armed person, all right? And on the back, this word means war, all right? So this person has a bloody sword, all right? And all those people representing American oligarchs and wealthy Western people are feeding the money to the war, all right? So in 1953, the bloody Russian Soviet communist regime tried to portray you, all right, on this picture, that you guys are the rotting West, your healthcare is dead, your libraries are destitute, your art is dying. Schools, of course, guys, you have the worst education in the world. Only the happy and mighty Russian terrorist empire has the greatest education, raising smart people, all right, smart people. And then you are feeding the war around the world with the money. And the funniest thing, by the way, is like if you show that to Tucker Carlson, for example, or Jackson Hinkle, all right, fuck Jackson Hinkle, but for example, Mrs. Owens or Dave Smith, they will say, but I don't see nothing wrong with this picture. Soviet Union was amazing place, and actually, yes, that's true. We didn't have anything. Our healthcare sucked. Our schools sucked. All right, we were feeding the war. But at the same time, I doubt that you will see individuals like Scott Ritter, yes, he can be blackmailed, but for example, Dave Smith actually going to the terrorist federation, right, because they hate that shit. They hate poverty and imbeciles themselves. So what can we see here is actually the actual picture of the terrorist Russian Federation in 2025. All right, because if we take a look, for example, at the expenditures of the Russian budget, that is the planned expenditures of the terrorist Russian budget for 2026. All this shit, 29.3%, is national defense, okay, almost 30%. But also all this shit, almost 9%, is national security, which also involves things like Russian intelligence and blah, blah, blah. Social politics, okay, social politics, 16%. So basically, they have almost 40% spent on the war. Guys, one more time. Russia has almost 40% of its budget spent on the war, all right? And if we take a look, for example, culture and cinema, 7%. Healthcare, 4.3%, all right? Guys, that's official data coming from Russia, all right? Healthcare, 4.3%. Communal services, like living, apartment building and stuff like that, 4.5%. National economy, 10%. So what the fuck is that? 40% of the Russian budget spent on the war. Physical culture and sport, 0.2%. And do you know what it means? It means that 0.2% of the Russian budget, which actually speaking is a big money if they're spent on different chemicals that Russian athletes are using even today, all right, to win their fucking competition. On the other hand, the reason why globally this number is so tiny is because nobody wants to see the fucking terrorist federation participating in like Olympic games and things like that. So 40% of the terrorist Russian budget is spent on the war. Guys, do you want to know how much does the United States spend on different things? All right, let's compare. All right, I'm sure that you want to know very, very much. So defense in the United States only takes 12% of the budget, of the planned budget. That's spent on interest payment than defense so far. So that's fiscal year 2025. All right, United States spent 12% on defense, all right? Of course, compared to Russia, the money is absolutely enormous, all right? But compared to the American budget, that's fucking nothing. United States spent on defense actually less than Russians are spending on what? Here, for example, national economy, 10%. What does it even mean? I have no idea. National economy, 10%. Social politics, all right. So, United States, the world's leading economy, is spending less on its defense, less of its budget, comparatively, all right? Comparatively, in percentage. Less than Kremlin is spending on its social politics, all right? Because Kremlin is spending 40% of its budget on the war. Amazing, right? Medicare in the United States, 13%. Medicare in the terrorist Russian Federation, 4.3%. Literally, United States are spending, Medicare and Medicaid, all right? Because in Russia, those two are combined. So United States are spending 22% of their budget on Medicare and Medicaid, all right? Terrorist Russian Federation, those two combined, 4.3%. But at the same time, there is nothing more important than killing Ukrainians, right? That is why the fucked up terrorist federation is spending 40% of its budget on the war. What can I say? What can I say? I can say that it's not the worst thing because here, for example, we have an update, a small report coming from the Russian church, all right, that decided to organize a small exhibition for the kids and make them a bit more acquainted with Russian military and Russian Christian faith, all right. That is why in Stavropol they decided to organize this absolutely amazing event involving Russian priests talking on how important it is to actually go to other countries, kill people, and invade other lands for Putin's ambitions. And they actually organized this for children, all right? So they invited their children, they started brainwashing them in terms of Russian Orthodox faith and in terms of the Russian military. As you can see on the photos here, even the tiniest of them, all right, were wearing Russian camo. Absolutely amazing. What is the difference between the ISIS and the terrorist Russian Federation? You may ask me, all right? And I will tell you this. The only difference is that the Russians have snow. Basically, that's all, okay? There are no not groundbreaking, but no fundamental differences, all right, between the ISIS based on religious fanatism and terror, all right, and the terrorist Russian Federation that is also based on the Russian religious fanatism and terror, all right. So that is why we can see them acting like that. Here we can see, you know, those religious Russian fanatics, all right, that instead of Allah Akbar, they shout Slava Isusu or something like that, or Slava Putinu. I think they don't give a shit, okay? And they just do the same ugly things, okay? The same ugly things as ISIS. You can see a lot of kids here wearing uniforms and most probably dreaming of becoming a new generation of cannon fodder for Putin, all right? Because, guys, you are looking at those kids and tell me if I'm wrong, but I am sure that your thoughts are poor kids, because Russia is brainwashing them into becoming future Russian human material for the Russian meat assaults. And you are right, because that's the case. And the tragedy is that no matter what we are talking about right here, no matter what we're thinking, discussing here, but all those young Russian children that we can see on the photo, all right, just a couple years from now, they will be wearing those uniforms as regular Russian military. They will sign contracts in the Russian army, my friends. And that's a tragedy. That's probably as big as Russian motherfuckers literally kidnapping Ukrainian kids. Because they will be wearing uniforms, signing contracts, taking weapons, and sent to Ukraine on motorbikes to die in a meat assault. If we don't stop the Russian terrorism today, okay? Because we can see like kids, how much? 12, 15, 16. This dude is signing contract most probably already next year or couple years from now. Same with this one. We will see them coming to Ukraine because they were indoctrinated in Russia. They were zombified, all right? That Z swastik that Russians are wearing, that's a good indication that they are zombified, all right? We will see this happening, unfortunately. And of course, it's a pity that those young Russian kids, instead of playing Roblox, instead of playing fucking Minecraft with other kids online, alright, and developing, they are brought to the fucking Russian representation offices of Satan on earth called Russian Moscovian Patriarchate, alright? And the Russian priests, the fucks who actually have to teach people things like love, respect, and sympathy, alright? Those people tell them that they should become a cannon fodder for the Russian army, for Putin, all right? They have to become a cannon fodder for Putin. Instead of playing like, I don't know, Counter-Strike with their peers online, all right? Or, I don't know, flying some shit in DCS or World of Tanks and stuff, they are wearing military uniforms and they are told that you guys will heroically go to Ukraine and you will heroically take Kyiv, all right? And the kids, because this is the way they were raised, they're saying, yeah, death to Ukraine, yeah, death to the West, death to the United States. Now tell me, how exactly is this different from the fucking ISIS? I just cannot understand. Like, I just cannot see even a tiniest difference, besides the fact that they drink vodka, not the kids, but the dudes who indoctrinate them. They drink vodka and they have snow and bears, and that's basically it. All right? And my friends, that's basically the reason why the terrorist Russian Federation is actually recognized in the European countries and the NATO countries as a terrorist regime, because in 2022, as most of you probably know, the Parliamentary Assembly of the European countries and the Parliamentary Assembly of NATO recognized, both those organizations recognized Russia a terrorist regime, because that's basically what they are. And I don't really understand why the White House feels so shy, calling them terrorists or something like that, because generally, guys, the more we speak the truth, the better, all right? The more we speak the truth, the more protected the truth is, all right? That is why if we see Russian terrorists, we should call them Russian terrorists. We shouldn't call them, I don't know, brave Russian soldiers, all right, fighting for the Russian freedom in a different country. No, that's not the case. They are invaders and terrorists and kidnappers and criminals, and we should keep calling them like that, so they would go down in history, not like Russian anti-fascists, but fucking Russian terrorists. And I must say that generally we are actually very good at doing that, because if you take a look, for example, at European countries, I don't see a big number of supporters of the Russian terrorism. There's a big number of supporters of different far-right movement, far-left movement, or all sorts of marginal movements, which is a big threat, of course. But on the other side, on the other hand, I don't see many supporters of the Russian terrorism. By the way, a lot of MAGA people, actually, I saw the poll that was made literally 3 months ago. And according to that poll, still approximately 90% Americans, regardless of who they are, MAGA, non-MAGA, they don't consider Putin a trustworthy person. So we will see if it changes. I really hope that it will not. I really hope that regardless of our political views, we will keep fighting for the right cause. But one thing I really wanted to show you here, by the way, there's those ICE raids in the United States, right? So actually in the Terrorist Federation, they have the same. Here, for example, Следственный комитет, the investigation committee of Russia and Russian Rosguardia massively raid different immigrants, including the immigrants who received Russian passports. And what do they do with them? So the cringy answer to this question is that they bring them to the precincts, all right? And they make those people sign contract with the Russian army and send them to the war in Ukraine. So, for example, in the United States, you can see people being deported or being brought to that amazing concentration camp with alligators and stuff like that. In the Terrorist Federation, they literally catch different immigrants, legal, illegal immigrants, nobody cares, and they literally send them to the draft office directly from the precinct, and they sign contracts, and they are turned into a cannon fodder for Putin. Which, by the way, again, if you think that Russia is an amazing multicultural anti-fascist country, it's not the case. They are Nazi themselves. They are big Nazi, in fact. In fact, Russia has some of the most developed white power skinhead movements probably in the world. One of the most powerful, most developed, and secretly funded by different Russian establishments, like, for example, FSB. That's just so you know, all right? Fuck, my voice is so fucked up, my friends. I don't know what to say. Despite all this shit, okay? What would a Russian do if they seen Black Jesus, productive member? They would go to a mental institution, all right? Maybe they will not go to the mental institution. They would probably be sent to the mental institution, okay? Because Russians generally don't like black people. Russians don't like Jews, black people. They call themselves white Russian. In Russia, it's like the highest level of supremacy if you are white Russian, all right? If you don't look Asian or Mongol, if you don't look Middle Asian, if you look literally like former German Aryans, all right? If you have like light hair, blue eyes and stuff like that, you speak Russian language, you can be fucking proud of yourself. You can call yourself white Russian. Because they are Nazi, they don't talk much about it, but it exists, all right? And if you see a person calling himself white Russian, you may be 100% sure that he is anti-Semite, that he basically calls all other Russian national minorities like Churkas and everything else. They have a lot of derogatory names for them, all right? So basically they are like ultra-nationalist Russian MAGA. Jesus actually was colored. My dear friends, I will tell you a surprising thing. Look at people in that area, all right? Israel, Palestine, Middle East. That's exactly what Jesus looked like, all right? And recently there was a restoration of his face. Let's check it out because, I really wish more people to see this, all right? Because Jesus was often portrayed as a brown-haired, blue-eyed person. Like, seriously? Jesus' face restored. All right. So this one was accurately restored, all right? This one. Recreated using Semite skulls by Richard Neve. That's the restoration of his real face. Okay? All the, I don't know, blonde guy with white European face and everything else, it couldn't be like that. The reason we can see him on icons like that was literally because there were European people posing for European artists that were creating the image of Jesus Christ. All right, when you look at Anglo-Saxon Jesus, absolutely. When you look at, for example, different Renaissance era images portraying, for example, Romans, all right, the Romans are wearing ammo typical for like 16th century. What the hell? Because this is the way they imagined that. They literally took, I don't know, a Landsknecht from streets, all right, and asked him, like, dear sir, would you pose with your Zweihande for our picture with Jesus Christ. And he's like, yeah. And then Michelangelo is drawing like this guy who came from, I don't know, like Darmstadt, all right? He's painting him on the image, and then you can see, I don't know, Jesus Christ that was painted from his best friend Vittorio, all right, carrying cross, blue eyes and everything else, and he's guarded by a German Landsknecht, all right, with Zweihande. So that's from historical standpoint, but from facts, all right, a person who was born in the Middle East will most probably not have like light brown hair, blue eyes and stuff like that. Most probably will not have white skin, and I don't see anything fucking wrong with that. I don't fucking care. I don't care if Jesus was Chinese. I don't care if Jesus was Indian. What the fuck is wrong with that? All right, he came from Semites. All right, I don't know how Russians even tolerate the fact that he was a Jew. I don't know. That is why basically they invent all sorts of stories, and all sorts of their alternative Russian historians say that actually Jesus Christ was Russian, all right? He actually came from the territory of the Russian Empire 2,000 years ago. And generally he wasn't like, he had blue eyes, he had white skin and stuff like that. I shit you not. I believe 2 years ago, I showed you like the actual Russian article describing that shit. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't see anything fucking wrong with Jesus being black, red, yellow, whatever, multicolored. So fucking what? Jesus Christ, deal with it. Fuck. I think Jesus would be more like, I don't know, Russian Caucasians, for example, all right? People from Dagestan than people from European part of Russia. And sorry, Starsky, didn't want you to melt up. No, it's a righteous anger, my friend, because that's the truth. Jesus wasn't Russian. I know some of alternative Ukrainian historians as well, by the way, because we also have those who say that Jesus Christ came from Galicia and stuff like that. We also have such people, but those people are not funded by the state propagandist machine, all right? In Russia, that's exactly the case. So in Russia, they believe that, yeah, and actually it's a big misconception. You want to know my favorite movie about Jesus Christ? Life of Jesus Christ. I think this is what it's called. Life of Jesus Christ movie. Let me see. This one. No, wait. I forgot the name. Okay, the life of Brian. The life of Brian. The life of Jesus. All right, movie. Which year was that? Like this one. That could not be miniseries. That was a different one. Guys, just a second. I will find it really quick. The life of Brian is a different thing. All right, the life of Brian is of course must watch. But besides that, there were several else. Like this one, okay. This actor. All right. What was the movie itself? I don't remember. Guys, if you remember the not Life of Brian, but the name of this one, please let me know. So this one, I was raised watching this one, all right? I remember I was like 5 years old, 6 years old. I had a VHS tape, and because in poor and wild Ukraine, we didn't have much VHS tapes back then, I would watch this movie often, all right? And this was the movie I was raised on, like this very actor. Take a look at him. Like his face literally says that he comes from like Liverpool, all right? Like this guy. He looks like a white European man, and again, there's nothing wrong about this. It doesn't matter which color, his face, his skin, his legs, it doesn't matter. If Jesus Christ was born in Liverpool, I would not mind. Especially if he was born in Cardiff, by the way. I would not give a slightest damn. Historically, he was born in the Middle East. He wasn't a white person. I don't know, he didn't have blue eyes. He didn't look like European. He obviously looked like... I'm looking like this. Johnny, really? Oh my God, I see why you're laughing right now. So yeah, there are historical facts and there are things that we should all understand. It doesn't matter what sort of like skin is Jesus. Jesus, do something. How old am I? I'm 40. I'm actually 40. This Jesus giving me cult vibes. Dogma Jesus is also excellent. The body Jesus, yeah, that one is really cool. Absolutely. Liverpool, maybe Montreal, maybe. Like, doesn't matter at all. At all. Mel Gibson's movie about Jesus was a good movie. I agree on that. Like, that movie was shocking, seriously, and it's actually very, very hard to watch. That's why I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it completely, all right? I watched it like piece by piece. But that one, actually, I was raised watching that movie, and actually that movie is... I don't know. I gotta rewatch it because I saw it 30 years ago for the first and the last time. But I was impressed. I gotta rewatch it, and I will tell you my opinion today. Because I don't know about you guys, but me, from time to time, I decided, to rewatch the old movies, the movies that I watched when I was a kid. And of course, when you're a kid and you watch some kind of movie, of course, it's like you have like this very, very big and developed fantasy, and you're watching this, and you're always so much impressed and stuff. And then, like 20 years after that, you're trying to rewatch this movie to feel the same excitement, and you're looking at it like that. What the fuck is that? All right. I was impressed by, for example, the Jurassic Park. Decades after that, well, you cannot compare Jurassic Park to for example, even like discovery documentaries, all right, or documentaries you can watch at Netflix involving much better computer graphics and much historically accurate dinosaurs, all right, because when Jurassic Park was being made in those years, nobody could actually imagine that actually dinosaurs had feathers, all right? And that's another exciting thing about our history, because our history, our dogmas, all right, the dogmas of humanity, they're changing every single fucking year. I love the Braveheart and the soundtrack. I bought the CD. I think I had VHS with the Braveheart, and of course, like the story is so cool. But the fact is, the execution of William Wallace, historically, according to the sources, it was fucking brutal. Oh my god! And parts of his body were literally sent to different places. All right, shit. Like I read about the end of his life. It was insane. Do you have a tattoo on your arm? I have a few. I have a few. I had Braveheart on VHS. It was great. Yeah, you know, this era of VHS tapes is just so nice. For example, raise your hand if you watched The Trespass, all right? The Trespass, like the action movie about gangsters, about two guys who went to like a place where gangsters were doing different shady things, trying to find some treasures and stuff like that. Nothing special, but it's good. Like when you watch it through the prism of VHS, you know, those action movies of the 80s and early 90s, like the feeling is just so good. Oh my god. I think Ice-T is there in the movie, in The Trespass. Now Gibson is a Taka supporter and alcoholic. What can I say? We all either evolve and degrade with the time. That's a natural process. On the other hand, of course, I doubt that we will see, for example, Mel Gibson going to the Terrorist Federation and drinking vodka together with Steven Seagal, all right? Because otherwise, I would know that the world is fucked. I met Ice-T years ago. Really? That's so cool. My favorite song of Ice-T, by the way, is the Watchtower or the Guard Tower. The Watchtower, I think. About the Watchtower in the prison. Like again, I'm not the biggest fan of like prison culture, you know, rap and gangster rap specifically, but that one is good. Seagal made one decent movie, the first one. He didn't even made that one. He was starring in that one. He came into my shop, bought some rolling papers off me. Ah, that's nice. Did you ask for an autograph, by the way? Because that I would do that definitely, and make a selfie, of course, and literally use him as much as I can. You know. I remember, like, when my friends took me to the backstage, we had like a concert with a bunch of Ukrainian bands, all right? Robinson, hey, hello. Guys, this is my very, very good friend, Robinson Racing. She makes incredible videos with Microsoft Flight Simulator. They're amazing. I'm following this channel so much. Oh my God, I'm so happy that you joined my stream. Oh my God, I feel blessed. Yeah, we are talking about celebrities, we're talking about Jesus Christ and many other things. Oh my God, we have so much things to discuss. So yeah, my friends would take me to the backstage of a concert in Ukraine, like many years ago. I was like 20 years old or something. And there are a lot of popular Ukrainian bands that you probably have never heard of. Okeanelze wasn't there, but other guys. Anyways, nice to see you too. They had a big regret, from taking me to the backstage, because I took my phone and I was harassing every single artist. And by the way, several weeks ago, I had Dima from Haidamaki on my channel. So Haidamaki were there, actually, like 20 years ago. And I would harass everyone. I would take 1,000 photos with every artist, and people were like, calm down, dude, are you fucking crazy? What are you doing? I didn't care. All right. And it was really cool, because I knew that I would never have such opportunity, most probably, anymore, So I used those guys. I was running after them, and my friends, they were among the organizers of this concert. So I always used that opportunity. I remember one time we had this birthday of one cultural Ukrainian web portal called Vedelka. And they invited, again, a bunch of singers. There was Katya Chili among them. Katya Chili is like Ukrainian icon of the folk music. She became famous in like 90s, all right? And they invited her as well, because the dude knew a lot of Ukrainian artists and singers. And they invited her, and the place is busy, all right? Like it was like the restaurant in the Kiev downtown, years and years before the war. And they invited those artists, Katya, Chili, and everyone else. And she walks in, and everything is busy, like all the places are occupied. I'm like, Katya, I'm here. She looks at me like, the fuck is that? I'm like, Katya, here. And I'm giving her the place to sit down, of course. So she basically was sitting on my knees there, right? Like on my lap. But it was, and of course I made like 1,000 photos with her. I don't see Ellie, but howdy, Ellie. Kaltenberg, I think that, and I hope that she's sleeping already. Maybe we will witness this moment of Ellie slowly falling asleep. I really hope that, because it must be like early morning in the United States, and she didn't sleep at all. Deborah, hello. Have you seen the movie John Wick? I saw episodes, like I saw pieces of this movie, but I have never seen the whole movie. Actually, there's a lot of movies that I would really like to watch, because I feel like I have I've missed a lot of life, all right, back in my days. I missed a lot of life. I missed a lot of movies when I was in the service, when I was deployed to different sketchy places. And people were asking me, like, do you want to go to the movies? I would always be like, no, guys, I have free time. I would like to spend it playing games, literally eating sushi, or just sleeping, all right? So I would really like to see that one. John Wick, yeah, I will do that, definitely. Lethal Weapon 5. I've seen the first one, and I think I've seen the second one. And again, that's speaking of old action movies, that VHS era. Yeah, those were some of the most kick-ass ones. It's almost 6 a.m. where Ellie and I are. I see. I hope that she is sleeping. And most probably, most probably the stream is still running on the background and Ellie is sleeping quietly, We can even sing her a lullaby. The sun is sleeping quietly once upon a century. So, Lord of the Rings, of course, one of my all-time favorites. And the book itself, of course. I don't even understand how it is possible to compress the trilogy into several episodes of the movie, because it took me many months to finish the book itself, actually. And Hobbit, The Hobbit, it's a must-see, of course, and must-read. The old Kung Fu movies were the best. Oh my god, young Jackie Chan. Oh yeah, those were so good. And Jackie Chan was always my favorite martial artist and actor, because he was just so good, alright? Spiders. Okay, let's not wake Ellie up. All right, let her sleep, let her rest. Let's not mention spiders. In fact, yeah, my friends, I think it's a good opportunity to actually wrap it up very soon and plan watching the old movies that I actually missed, all right, during my service. Enter the Dragon, this one is so good. Bruce Lee is amazing. He's a legend, all right. He will always be. Enter the Dragon is just so nice. And in Enter the Dragon, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they have Bolo Young there, starring as one of the fighters. Bolo Young is so good. Like, he's big, he's actually a Chinese bodybuilder. And I remember he was starring in different movies. My God, the Tiger Claw or something like that. It was kind of cheesy a bit because it was also featuring, what was her name? The woman, like she was another martial artist, as far as I remember. Yeah, she was kind of fun. She was kind of fun to watch. I could never understand what she does. Yeah, but Bolo Young was so good. Like, he has this absolutely perfect face for playing like villains and psychos and everything else. And his shape is freaking impressive. Like, he's big. He's a big guy. So that one was so good. Dogma is well worth watching, especially if you're in the United States. Yeah, that one is also good. But by the way, it's old. I remember I was not a kid, but I was like a teenager probably when Dogma was only released. And in my memory, it's still a new movie, even though it's old as a poo of a mammoth, actually. Friday the 13th, this one is absolutely fantastic. And by the way, I bought a computer game a couple years ago. I bought a computer game on Steam called Friday the 13th. If you are like a fan of this stuff, if you are a fan of this lore, you gotta like that computer game. Absolutely, because they even have like a virtual museum of all the things that are related to Jason and all the episodes. And you can literally walk around this museum and see those things, play some episodes and stuff like that. So it's really, really cool. And generally in this game you can play as Jason or try to run away from Jason. Check it out, absolutely. It's very, very good. It's worth it. Blade Runner, Rutger Hauer. We watched the Blade Runner literally a couple of months ago, and I'm ashamed to admit it, but it was my very first time, all right, to watch it. Again, you know, I didn't see a lot of movies, unfortunately, even some of the most iconic and classic ones. And Rutger Hauer, holy shit, we lost such a legendary actor, actually. This year, last year? Yeah, he was amazing. And that episode about the tears in the rain, actually it was improvised. And it was so powerful that the director decided to leave it there in the movie. Oh my god. That one is so good. All right, Richard, it's work time. Please don't get late. And I will also wrap it up. I think that Ellie is sleeping peacefully. So we will thank her for staying with us, for providing us with security and safety there in the chat. And also I'd like to traditionally thank everyone who stands with Ukraine, who supports my people, all the members of my channel, all the supporters of my channel. Thank you so much. And have something good, have something tasty, as always. I really did. I had sushi and I had the fried eggs, scrambled eggs. Anyways. Sushi that remained since yesterday. They were not really bad, actually, after spending the night in the fridge. Anyways, I gotta go and make another coffee and probably have some rest until the evening. We will see. Maybe we'll have some interesting updates. Something tells me. I will let you know, my friends. Be safe, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.